going to the movies is a big deal, so we got some Wolfman reviews coming at you. Three to play catch up on. I have really got to get better about balancing things out, everybody. So what have I seen? I have seen Pacific Rim 2. I have seen Ready Player One. And we saw A Quiet Place. Going down that list, Pacific Rim 2. If you're a fan of the first movie, this really does a good job of going on, furthering things that are going on. I mean, there was a twist to this movie that I didn't anticipate. The first movie was great. Really enjoyed this one. I'm not really sure. I can't really put my finger on the issue with it because sequels have to walk a fine line. They have to make sure that they're not just retreading the first story, that they're continuing the story, but they also can somewhat stand on their own while still meshing with the first one. And I felt like the balance wasn't quite there. And it's been a couple of weeks since I've seen it. I know this is late, and same thing for Ready Player One. Everybody said everything that can already be said about them, but it's my turn to get my word out. So, Pacific Rim 2, solid 8 out of 10. Then moving on to Ready Player One. Now, this one is tough. It's really hard for me to rate this movie because as somebody that loves movies, as a cinephile, and as somebody who loves nostalgia, just so many things to enjoy. But as a reviewer, I have to look at what holds up and what has stay power. And this movie felt like watching a conversation with me and my friends. I think that's one of the best ways to describe it for anybody that's like me and like us. This movie, or if you're just a big nerdy person like the rest of us, watching this movie is like watching a conversation with you and your friends, and that's all good and fun. But the question becomes did it make itself timeless through its dated references, or is it just dated beyond dated? How much can you rely on nostalgia alone? Because what was the story at the end of the day? And heads up, I actually have not read the book. I have to be honest about that. I did not read the book. But going off of the movie and what I understand the story to be, let's do some math here. Let's do some research. Pretty sure Danny Phantom did it first, if you guys remember that. So, I almost feel like I can't rate this movie because, on the one hand, it almost has nothing substantial to it, but at the same time, what am I supposed to do with a movie? I'm supposed to enjoy it, and my God, did I enjoy it. I felt this rush of youthful energy watching this movie. It was so good and enjoyable, and whether or not that enjoyment can last for a year, 5 years, 10 years, the rest of my life with rewatchability, or if I'm going to feel like this movie was just a flash in the pan, it doesn't matter because I did enjoy it. And that's the ultimate point, isn't it? That I'm supposed to enjoy it and want to give it a high mark. So, so much of me wants to give this movie a 10 out of 10. And at the same time, it's weak. So, Ready Player One. Officially, unofficially, a 10 out of 10. I don't know if I'll include it in my year-end review. We'll see when that happens. When 2018 comes to a close, we'll see what happens. But officially, unofficially, officially, unofficial, 10 out of 10, however many, what the order of that is. It's rated and unrated by the Wolfman. And that leads into A Quiet Place. Talk about a movie that I can rate, and again, I said that was a hard thing with Ready Player One. So much better. Really it was. A Quiet Place is better than Ready Player One. let's hear that contention in the comment section. Let's see that comment section get fired up over this. A Quiet Place is better than Ready Player One. I'm giving A Quiet Place. Oh God. Again, I'm pushing that 10 out of 10 line, really kind of a 9 out of 10, because I have one issue with this movie, and I don't want to spoil. I never spoil in these, but how do I say this? When you see this movie, if you get a chance to see this movie, it doesn't do that great a job of displaying a timeline for you, and that's not a spoiler. It's just kind of how the movie goes. It gives you a rough idea of how long things are going on for, but the timeline isn't very solid. You're not really sure what the span of time is for the story, and that makes me question some things related to almighty science. And that's the best way I can think to say this without spoiling anything. But I mean, a movie that has rewatchability, let's talk about that as a positive note. A Quiet Place definitely has rewatchability. It was so good. It was so gripping. The tension was high. I was squinting to watch it, and I couldn't look away. I was on the edge of my seat, and I was cowering back. It did a great job of doing what it was supposed to do. It really met my expectations. It didn't surpass them, but it really met them. And one of the fun things for me is that my day job, I actually have to use some sign language. So it was really cool because I'm sitting there with my fiance and our roommate who also have to know some sign language for work, and we're all just kind of giggling with each other, like, they're using some subtitles, but we're like, we're ahead of the game. We know what's going on already. So that was fun on a personal level. So minus that one, and you know what? That point of that one issue that I have with the movie, it actually leads to so much fun conversation with people that have seen it. Quiet Place is getting the first 10 out of 10 of the year. So let's flash that on the board. 10 out of 10 for A Quiet Place. Great movie. If you haven't had a chance to see it, go see it. It's wonderful. You're going to love it. So those are the movie reviews for this video from the Wolfman.